Good morning. Hello, hello. All right, let me just go finish putting the links in all the places. If you're here, let me know. I think we're going to have a pretty small group today since we have the day off of school, which is great. Um, so if you're here on your day off, it's awesome to have you here. Say hi. Tell me how you're doing this morning, or throw some emojis in the chat. Um, tell me how you're feeling. I have already gotten up, gone for a run. It's one of those typical spring mornings. It's cold outside in the morning, but I think it's gonna heat up to a pretty nice day. Sun is shining now. That's always nice. Right. Again, if you're here, go ahead, tell me in the chat at the very least, so that I know that I'm not speaking into the void of nothingness. Let me know that you're here. Say hi. Love to hear from you. This morning we'll do sort of our normal thing. We got a poem. I got a book talk for you, and we'll go from there. Depending on how much. I have a feeling will be a short video today, just because we're such a small group. And since we're sort of a quiet group this morning. So yeah, we're gonna keep reading the poems that we've been reading for the Honor Sophomores. We're reading one of my favorites today. I almost wish I could save it another day when there are more of us here. But I figure you've all already read it. We read it with the AP students earlier this year. I actually think it was part of your summer homework. That's going a long way back. And then sophomores, we're all reading it right now. Yeah. So I'll just jump in, because if we're not feeling chatty this morning, I don't want to make you chat. So I'm going to start with our poem, which is called Playground Elegy by Clint Smith. It is one of my favorite poems. Clint Smith is one of my favorite poets. He's actually doing some really cool stuff on Twitter lately. He's doing like a Q&A and a reading, either on Twitter or Instagram or YouTube, someplace. But that's really exciting. His poetry is really sort of what helped me rethink what poetry is and what it has to be. When I started reading or started teaching AP literature, there's this whole movement about teaching living poets, and Clint Smith is one of the poets that is often talked about in that group. And so I decided to read his whole book, Counting Descent. And man, it is amazing. It is an amazing book. And I read the whole thing, and it changed how I thought about poetry. So I love this poem. We talk about it from the perspective of figurative language for the Honor Sophomores. Seniors, we've used it to talk about a lot of different things. But it is a really good poem. So I'll put the name of the poem in the chat in case any of you want to go look at it. So that's not it. So it's Playground Elegy by Clint Smith. And that's what we're going to be reading today. So I'm just going to double check that we're actually good live and all that good stuff. Hey, good morning, Danielle. Nice to have you here. How are you doing this morning? All right. So, Playground Elegy by Clint Smith. The first time I slid down a slide, my mother told me to hold my hands in towards the sky. Something about gravity, weight distribution, and feeling the air ripple through your fingers. I remember reaching the bottom, smile consuming half my face, hands still in the air because I didn't want it to stop. Ever since, this defiance of gravity has always been synonymous with feeling alive. When I read of the new child, his body strewn across the street, a casket of bones and concrete, I wonder how many times he slid down the slide. How many times he defied gravity to answer a question in class. Did he raise his hand for all of them? Does my mother regret this? That she raised a Black boy growing up to think that raised hands made me feel more alive, that raised hands meant I was alive, that raised hands meant I would live. Oh, and I just love that poem. I think it is so powerful and interesting. And the figurative language, the imagery, and that rhyme in the middle, the bones and concrete is just so interesting. Yeah, so I love it. I'm interested to see whether or not that will win as part of our poetry bracket. I don't think so at this point. I think it's looking like Introduction to Poetry is going to pull it out. There you go. Danielle, you thought today was Sunday? Yeah, it's weird to have a day off during distance learning. It all sort of feels funny, but it's nice. It'll give me some time to catch up on some of the grading that I'm a little bit behind on. Hey, good morning, Mom. So, I mean, that's all good. It's nice. Danielle, what are you going to be doing for your day off? Doing anything special? Getting ahead on work? All right. Finished one of your books yesterday, started the next one. Awesome. Yeah, I was remembering that you had all of those new books. Which book did you finish? I definitely did not finish any books over the weekend. I did start a new one that I'm just not sure if I'm in the right headspace for the book I'm reading right now. It's a little bit heavy and like very character driven, not very plot driven, which I'm just not sure that I'm in the mood for right now. You finished Clockwork Angel. Awesome. So we'll see. I might give it a few more pages and then I might switch to something that's a little bit more plot driven, just because that's sort of the headspace I'm in right now. You got to be in the mood for certain books, you know? We'll see. All right. So speaking of amazing plot driven, but also character intense books, we're going to talk about Children of Blood and Bone today by Tomi Adeyemi. Read it for a week, but there was a big plot twist at the end, finished it in one day. See, that's the sort of book that I'm looking for right now, is something that is like big and exciting and is like good and then gets exciting and like you just can't stop reading. So that's sort of like the book I'm going to share today. It is called Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. And it's a really cool like fantasy book. One thing that bugged me, and it always bugs me, is when I go into a book thinking it's a book and it turns out to be a series. So I'm going to tell you right now, it is a series. And I think the second one is out, but I'm not sure that it ends at the second one. I haven't read the second one yet. I've only read Children of Blood and Bone. It's officially called, if you're looking for the whole series, it's called the Legacy of Orisha series. So it's good. It's really cool. It's about this young girl who is essentially has magic powers, um, but her people, the people of magic, have been pushed down by their government and are like second class citizens. And she ends up having to like use her powers. Uh, so I'll read the synopsis of it, like the stuff that comes on the back of the book, and then I will read a little bit of the first chapter. So, in Children of Blood and Bone, Tomi Adeyemi conjures a stunning world of dark magic and danger in her West African-inspired fantasy debut. They killed my mother. They took our magic. They tried to bury us. Now we rise. Zeli Adebola remembers when the soil of Orisha hummed with magic. Burners ignited flames, tiders beckoned waves, and Zeli's Reaper mother summoned forth souls. But everything changed the night magic disappeared. Under the orders of a ruthless king, Magi were killed, leaving Zeli without a mother and her people without hope. Now Zeli has one chance to bring back magic and strike against the monarchy. With the help of a rogue princess, Zeli must outwit and outrun the crown prince, who is hell-bent on eradicating magic for good. Danger lurks in Orisha, where snow lepinaires prowl and vengeful spirits wait in the waters. Yet the greatest danger may be Zeli herself, as she struggles to control her powers and her growing feelings for an enemy. So it's a really cool, like, fun fantasy series. But like in Honors 10, we've been talking a lot about how like current events might be influencing texts. This book was published in 2018. Yeah, 2018. So there's a lot of really interesting like social and political messages in there, just like we've been talking about in class. But also in this like high fantasy way. So it's a really fun, fast-paced, exciting book. I'm excited to read the next one. I'm not sure how many books are going to be in the series. Usually books like that are like trilogies at least. And I think the second one's out, but I don't think any more than that. I could look it up, I guess. Yeah, I'll actually read a little bit of the synopsis sort of gives a feel for what it sounds like, but not enough. So let me go ahead and look through, and we'll read like the first couple of paragraphs. We won't actually get that far into it. So I'll start at the preface and then we'll do a little bit of chapter 1. So the preface. I try not to think of her, but when I do, I think of rice. When Mama was around, the hut always smelled of jollof rice. I think about the way her dark skin glowed like a summer sun, the way her smile made Baba come alive, the way her white hair fuzzed and coiled, an untamed crown that breathed and thrived. I hear the myths she would tell me at night. Zane's laughter when they played Agbon in the park. Baba's cries as the soldiers wrapped a chain around her neck, her screams as they dragged her into the dark. The incantations that spewed from her mouth like lava, the magic of death that led her astray. I think about the way her corpse hung from that tree. I think about the king who took her away. Chapter 1, Zeli. Pick me! It's all I can do not to scream. I dig my nails into the marula oak of my staff and squeeze to keep from fidgeting. Beads of sweat drip down my back, but I can't tell if it's from the morning heat or from my heart slamming against my chest. Moon after moon I've been passed over. Today can't be the same. I tuck a lock of snow-white hair behind my ear and do my best to sit still. As always, Mama Agba takes the selection grueling, staring at each girl just long enough to make us squirm. Her brows knit in concentration, deepening the creases in her shaved head. With her dark brown skin and muted kaftan, Mama Agba looks like any other elder in the village. You would never guess a woman her age could be so lethal. Ahem. Yemi clears her throat at the front of the Ahire, a not so subtle reminder that she's already passed this test. She smirks at us as she twirls her hand carved staff, eager to see which one of us she gets to defeat in our graduation match. Most girls cower at the prospect of facing Yemi. But today, I crave it. I've been practicing and I'm ready. I know I can win. So that's a little bit of the beginning. I like that the preface gives us a little bit of the backstory. And then that beginning there gives us a good feel of sort of Zelly's perspective, her spunk. And so I think it's a really fun one. And I did just look it up. So far, there is, it looks like there are 2 in the series. Oh, maybe 3? Certainly 2. Yeah, there's Children of Blood and Bone, number 1. And then Children of Virtue and Vengeance is the second book. So it's I'm looking forward to reading the second book. It's an exciting series. I just usually prefer to read a series when like all of the books are already out. I feel like when I have to wait too long from one book to the next, I just don't keep track of them very well, and sort of forget what has happened. And I always just find it frustrating when I feel like I've gotten into a book and I'm like right there. There's always like that cliffhanger. I don't know. I feel like it breaks up the reading experience. I prefer to have a one and done experience, but it is what it is. I read it because it sounded really cool, and I didn't know it was going to be a series until you get to the end and you're like, oh, this story isn't done. That's all right. All right, what else do we got going on today? What questions do we have? What are we thinking about? Any big plans? Danielle, you had asked on Friday, must have been, favorite Disney princess. And I knew I was forgetting someone and I couldn't figure out who it was. Watched another movie over this weekend. Moana. Obviously, the best. She's so cool. I love Moana. So I take back whatever I said on Friday. Moana, favorite Disney princess. She's so cool. She's out here. I'm Moana of Motunui, and you will board my boat and help me bring the heart back to Te Fiti. I love it. It's amazing. Yeah, she's super cool. All right, what else are we thinking about? What else we got going on today? I know my day is going to be mostly spent, even though it's not a school day, making sure that we have a plan for the week, that we have activities to do, have our assignments all in there, and doing a bunch of grading. Oh yeah, the Moana soundtrack is amazing. I know we were having that conversation about musicals. We were talking about Hamilton and In the Heights. And I said something. I say this in a bunch of contexts, and people think it's crazy that I'm like, I don't know. I think Lin-Manuel Miranda musicals are a little boring in terms of like performance, in terms of like actual stage value. But in terms of songwriting, Lin-Manuel Miranda is a genius. I honestly think he is going to be like the songwriter of the generation. I mean, I think he's unmatched. And he did almost all the music in Moana. And you can tell, I mean, it is amazing. just like genius level writing. I'm always so impressed. I love using his music as a way into understanding um, poetry. His writing, his songwriting is poetry, right? I mean, we're going to see that in our honors 10 project. But I mean, all of it. It's just with rhythm, with meter, with the music and the lyric. I mean, it's all just amazing. Um, so good. Yeah. All right. Well, if we don't have anything else, I'm thinking I might just head out so that I can get to work. Um, that's sort of the teacher secret is that even on the days that we have off, we're still here doing lots of work, making sure that you can get what you need. So that's what I'm gonna go do is go work and drink my coffee and probably heat up my coffee a little bit. That is the other teacher secret. There are lots of jokes about, like, how do you make iced coffee? Just be a teacher and wait 15 minutes. Just keep microwaving it. It's gonna be great. It's gonna is what it is. All right. So I hope all of you have a great Monday, that you enjoy your day off, and I will see you all. It is terrible. I will see you all tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Always remember who you are, what you represent, and to show your Mustang pride. Bye, guys.